Hello, everyone. What is going on? James here. Welcome back to the Banterous Hour with fellow co-host Mr. Liam TGC.
Hello there.
And we are back again to review SpongeBob Season 3. Now, I'll just give you all a bit of background. We did review SpongeBob Season 1 and 2 on the old podcast, ALP podcast, and I have archived those two streams, fortunately. But it doesn't really make sense to redo seasons on this channel. We might. It would be cool to do like a recap, like talking about season 1 to 3, like favorite episodes, least favorite episodes, like top 4 favorite or top 5 favorite episodes, top 5 best, weakest episodes, and maybe like I don't know, best characters, just stuff like that. Really talking about the characters, and maybe do one about the movie. I know in the past Liam suggested reviewing season 4, which I wouldn't actually mind trying to get through season 4, because when I look at the first few episodes, I think, you know what, they were actually cooking even without Steven Hillenburg at first. They were cooking when you look at the season 4 episodes. Like you had that bloody Fear of a Paddy and Shell of a Man. Both of them were very good. The one where bloody Mr. Krabs forces the Krusty Krab to stay open 24 hours a day, and then Shell of a Man is when Mr. Krabs has to go to the Navy reunion and he hasn't got his shell on, so SpongeBob has to pretend to be him. And there's Lost Mattress and Plankton versus Krabs, and I guess in Lost Mattress there's a bit of Squidward torture, which is pretty unnecessary, but it's kind of funny. Squidward doesn't really deserve it in this one, so it's a bit annoying, but it's funny. And then Plankton vs. Krabs is a pretty damn good episode. And then Have You Seen This Now? Very good. It's just the Skill Crane and Good Neighbours, which is the 4th episode. That's when season 4 starts going downhill. Then I'm looking at the other ones, and there's some all right ones here and there, but it becomes quite a dud really after that. Krusty Tales, that's quite funny. I don't know, would you be down for reviewing season 4 still, or trying to get through it and see what you think?
I suppose, yeah. I guess it'd be interesting just to see how much of it I remember and just what the quality's like after the film. I
Yeah,
watch that.
I mean, as I say, the first 3 episodes, it's very good. And then it just falls off with that bloody Neighbours episode. And then the season 4 finale, rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I just looked at it now. But then you got season 5, Friend or Foe, the original Fry Cook and Nightlight. They're okay. What else is there? Oh, there's that Fungus Among Us. Oh, no. Season 5, it really falls off now. Spy Buddies is kind of okay. But then you got bloody 2 short episodes in between. Oh no, yeah, it falls off bad in season 5. What the hell is all this crap? Oh my, it really falls off. A Pest of the West was okay. Oh man, it's really falling off now.
I just find it mad that SpongeBob's still going, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, House Fancy, that one's horrible. I hate that one. Squidward gets completely shafted. It's horrible. It's just cringy. Yeah, it's just the Splinter. That's horrible. Oh. Yeah, it falls off bad. It falls off bad in season 6. I'm trying to look at when I actually stopped watching. There was Truth or Square, the Clash of Tryon. I think it was around season 7 I stopped watching, to be honest. Around that time, I was growing out of cartoons, because SpongeBob usually came out a year later in the UK, from what I remember. So I was like 11 when season 7 came out, and I thought, like, I'm not really interested in this, and it's kind of looking a bit silly now. And I'm looking at season 7, and I think I stopped watching there. So yeah, I wonder how far we can get. I reckon we probably get to season 5 or 6, which would be pretty poetic for me, because that's where I stopped watching, like around that area, like early season 7. That's when I stopped watching. So that would be pretty poetic to get stuck at that level again. It's the same with regular show. I'm stuck on bloody season 3, and that's where I stopped watching when I was a kid. I just don't know why I just haven't got around to watch it. Maybe it's just set in stone. Maybe I'm not meant to watch the rest of the shows. Maybe I'm just meant to watch what I remember and what I enjoyed. But I don't know. I'm going to keep trying anyway. So I hope that doesn't happen with the Clone Wars when I rewatch that eventually, because I want to watch the whole thing because everyone loves the Clone Wars and there's some good anthology episodes. I mean, I've watched season 7, Bad Batch, and the Siege of Mandalore episodes. So I suppose that counts for something.
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching the whole thing.
Yeah, because even though I probably will get a bit fed up at the whole characters we know the fates of, and there's not really much risk in a lot of the fights and showdowns because loads of characters don't seem to die. There's no risk. It still can be a lot of fun. It doesn't mean it's instantly a bad show. There's a lot of shows where the characters aren't going to die, that there's no risk, but it's about the execution, and a lot of Clone Wars, from what I remember, was fun execution. The last episodes I remember watching, it was this one with what's his name, this Jedi with 4 arms who gets the 212 Legion and the 501st to fight each other. That was
that's series 4. That is.
Yeah, that was one of the last ones I watched when I used to watch it. And then, because the problem was in 2014, I thought the show was over. I thought, oh, okay, I've heard online that the Clone Wars is finished, so there's not going to be anything else. That was a bit of a weird way to cut the whole thing off. But okay, but obviously they came back, didn't they, and made more. But I just didn't get back into it. I thought I'm too old for this now. But obviously, you're never too old for a good cartoon, in my opinion. As long as it's not Peppa Pig or Postman Pat, you're never too old for a good cartoon.
What was the second one you mentioned?
Peppa Pig and Postman Pat.
Oh, Postman Pat.
I'm sure old Postman Pat is a lot better than the modern shows now. But if I wouldn't poo-poo anyone for watching Postman Pat now, like the old Postman Pats. Like if they want to watch it, they can. But I'd be a bit like, there's better shows to watch than that while you're watching like a 4-year-old show. I suppose you can make that argument with a lot of shows, like you could say SpongeBob just for kids, but there's a lot of funny adult jokes in it. And the characters are quite mature and the dialogue's quite quippy most of the time in season 1 to 3. Well,
a lot of good humour.
Let's dive into talking about season 3 then. So we start off very strong with the algae's always greener. This is the episode where Plankton bloody wants to become Mr. Krabs. And he goes back home after failing to steal the Krabby Patty formula again. And he's like, oh, I'm so fed up with this. I try everything and Mr. Krabs kicks my ass. And then Karen's like, well, why don't you just use your life swap machine? And then he flies through this vortex. And then he's suddenly Mr. Krabs, except he's called Mr. Plankton. And there's some funny gags, he thinks, oh, bloody hell, I've got it good now. But obviously, Mr. Krabs doesn't have it as good as it seems. SpongeBob is an absolute bloody Jobsworth who gets very obsessed and worried over little things and silliness. And then he's got to deal with Squidward's bullshit because he promotes SpongeBob to bloody cashier. And he's like, I'm not working. If you think I'm working with that all day, then you got another thing coming. It was something like that. And he's like, wait. And then Pearl comes in and she's jumping round and he gives her like $1 and she's like, you hate me. Well. And then he goes, hey, buddy. And this was a good meme. What do you think this is some kind of joke? And he goes, what? It's just an ordinary Krabby Patty. Oh my goodness. Squidward. That's quite an iconic meme when they put some like horrible video game or horrible film over the top of it. And yeah, it shows you that the algae isn't greener. He gets hassled by a naked Mr. Krabs trying to steal the formula, and then everyone's like, when Mr. Krabs gets his ass kicked, they're like, victory screech! Oh! And then that's the end. Then Plankton's like, I'm going back to being myself now. I've had enough, because he realizes that Mr. Krabs, while he looks like this successful, brilliant businessman, he doesn't have it as good as it seems. He has a lot of hassles and nonsense to deal with.
Yeah. So. I mean, the thing is that there's a certain number of episodes which I can't remember as well because it's been a while since I watched them and I didn't make notes, so I only made review notes from a certain point.
Ooh.
So it's
Did you like it from what you remember? Did you like that episode?
I don't know. I mean, there might have been certain bits, like you said, that were funny, but I just can't remember whether I liked it or whether I thought it was one of my favourites or not. Really. I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, I thought it was a pretty damn great episode. I really enjoyed it. Now on to SpongeGuard on duty. This is the episode where Mr. What am I going to say, Mr. Krabs? Larry the Lobster's like, SpongeBob, I didn't know that you were a lifeguard, because he gets some ice cream on his nose because he says he makes some bloody weird wish where he says like, I'd love to be a lifeguard, and if you don't want me to be a lifeguard, then an ice cream truck can drop on me. It was something weird like that. Then the ice cream truck's falling, and he goes, and live, and then the ice cream truck stops, then drops, and then he has some ice cream on his nose, and he's like, I didn't know you were a lifeguard, and then he's getting paranoid because he doesn't know how to swim. He loves the glory of it. He loves blowing the whistles and everyone thinking he's cool. But he doesn't love the hassle, and he's just getting worried all the time. Then he has to go and try and save Patrick in a kind of funny sequence. Then Larry comes in and just lifts them both out the water because it looks like they're in quite a shallow area, and that's it really. A bit boring, to be honest. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I'd say it's just like average episode. Just seemed pretty standard. I guess it's a good way to incorporate Larry into the storyline. Yeah, it just seemed like a pretty bog standard average episode.
Yeah, I think I might remember that one a bit more with SpongeBob being a lifeguard. I don't remember. I don't think I was the biggest fan of it. Yeah, I probably thought it was okay at best.
Yeah.
And probably just didn't really like some of the humor, so it wasn't really a memorable one for me.
Yeah, it just seemed a bit like jock, confident jerk humor, where it's like Larry's the coolest guy and SpongeBob is just a bum. And it wasn't really done in much of a funny way. It just seemed a bit like bloody dead arse and boring. Now on to Club SpongeBob. This one's quite funny. Squidward. Whoa, Widward's going to work. I wonder where he works. At the Wusty Wab. You know, that bit, I don't know why that bit made me laugh. It just reminds us of some of the silly impressions I do of someone we know. But yeah, Squidward's like, why would I want to be in your embarrassing, pathetic club? And then they're like, look, you can't join. You wouldn't be able to fit in. He's like, what would you two uncultured swines know about fitting in? And then he starts climbing up. No, you can't. No. And he's like, no, Squidward, no. And he's like, there's no room. And then they're like, yeah, because we told you about 10 times you couldn't fit in. And Squidward gets fed up of being in the club because they just go, welcome, Squidward, welcome, Squidward, welcome, Squidward. So, yeah, he just gets fed up of that. And he tries to get out. He tries to crawl his way back to the ground, and he gets flung. They get flung to the kelp forest. And SpongeBob and Patrick put their faith in the magic conch shell. They listen to what she has to say. But Squidward's just a bit of a tit about it. He's like, oh, it's rubbish. Don't listen to this moron. And then, do nothing. How can you do nothing? And then after, when they wait around, a whole feast comes down, and the magic conch shell is like, you can't have anything. Screw you, Squidward. You can't eat anything. And he's like, rrr. It's quite funny. Like on a first watch, it's quite funny. Rewatch on so many rewatches now. Not saying it's not. I feel like the more you watch it, the more you just sort of think, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. I don't think it's like next level interesting. But I still enjoy it. I still say it's a very good episode. I guess it's more about Squidward going mad and being proved wrong, I suppose. Yeah, it was all right. It was pretty good.
I think I found that one to be okay, I think. But otherwise, yeah, there are probably some aspects I found annoying and just not funny. But yeah, I think again, it was probably another sort of average one to me, if I remember right.
And now on to My Pretty Seahorse. Yeah, I found this one quite boring, to be honest. I'll just say average. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's necessarily bad. Like, there's some okay antics in there. You know, when SpongeBob is trying to hide the seahorse and the seahorse is eating everything. And the ending was a bit weird when Mr. Krabs. I know Mr. Krabs is a money grubber and obsessed with cash, but he's like, I get how you feel, boy. I had to give away my first dollar. Or something, you know. It was like, okay, mate, you know, it's just Yeah, I just found it quite average, to be honest, but painfully average. I didn't really enjoy that much. Definitely one of the weaker episodes of the season. Not particularly that good.
Yeah, I think I probably felt the same. Again, yeah, I find it difficult to sort of remember a lot of it, but yeah, I think I suppose, it wasn't that memorable, so it's one of
Yeah.
the weaker episodes.
Now we come on to an absolute banger. Just one bite and the bully. So just one bite is when Squidward finally tries a Krabby Patty, and he pretends to say like, "It's the most horrible, putrid waste of time ever. I hate it." But then he ends up loving it and eating it out the garbage and all this crap. And then he breaks into the Krusty Krab and gets all the patties for himself. And then SpongeBob's like, you like Krabby Patty, Squidward?" And then he's like, "Yes, you're right. I love Krabby Patties." And he's going mad eating them. They're all going off of his arm into his mouth. And then he's like, "What's going to happen? What's the problem?" And then SpongeBob's like, "It'll go straight to your thighs. Then you'll blow up." He goes, "Oh no!" It's just a head in an ambulance. That one was hilarious. I really enjoyed that episode. The jokes, just a fun, simple plot, really. And I know obviously people say there was an episode where Squidward kept getting Krabby Patties shot into his mouth, but he probably didn't have much chance to taste them. He was just getting force fed them, so he probably enjoyed. I can't remember what episode it was, but SpongeBob kept shooting Krabby. He kept going, "Arr, arr, arr, arr," and he kept getting.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
That's actually, I can't remember which episode it is now, but it made me laugh quite a bit. That bit when he's like, "SpongeBob, boom, boom, boom." I was even thought.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, the conclusion's quite funny. The dynamic, the back and forth about him trying to convince him to eat Krabby Patties, yeah, it's just very funny. I mean, the dream was a bit strange when he's dreaming about marrying a Krabby Patty and having Krabby Patty kids and dying together with a Krabby Patty. I mean, that is some bloody strange stuff, but I guess it was funny.
You just loved it that much, yeah?
Yeah, bit of a mad food fetish. But yeah, amazing episode. Loved it. Absolute banterous fun.
Yeah, actually, I was just checking, and it's actually the first episode of this series that I've put in my favourites. So I definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that one, even though I didn't make any review notes on it. But I definitely enjoyed it, and yeah, a few of those moments I kind of remember, like you mentioned. I think it just helps that Squidward was like in it so much as well. Like, he was probably the main focus, one of the main characters. And I've noticed, I think when a lot of the episodes feature Squidward, or at least they feature him heavily, I tend to find those more entertaining because I really like Squidward. So, and I do find him quite funny, like one of the funniest characters. So,
yeah, he's pretty good.
One of my favourites, yeah.
Now on to the bully. I find this one, some people really enjoy it, and I do understand the comedy and the banter in it and why they find it so much fun. Like SpongeBob keeps panicking about this bully who's going to absolutely beat the crap out of him and kick his butt. And no matter what SpongeBob does for him, he even saves his life at one point when he crashes in the garbage truck after he was trying to run SpongeBob over. It's just all the mad antics, and when they're like the old man's, he's SpongeBob's running off and he says, "Can't you see he's gonna kick my butt?" And then he's like, "Oh, I love the young people," because I think it's the old man trying to beat him up. And he goes, they go, "How many times have we got to teach you this lesson, old man?" So I felt quite sorry for him, to be honest. He'd done nothing wrong, but I guess it was just for a joke, I suppose. I just didn't like how the result was smart and funny. Like, I think objectively it is a great episode. I just don't enjoy it that much personally. The twist is funny. Like, no matter what he does, he can't avoid this, and then he keeps absorbing the blows because he's a sponge. So that is quite funny. But then he gets in trouble at the end with Mrs. Puff, and it's like, well, that just gets on my nerves. I just think that's stupid. Yeah, just a bit annoying, really. So personally, I find it quite average, but objectively, I can see the writing decisions and the story decisions make it a great episode. I don't usually feel that way about most episodes. Usually, with a lot of episodes, I can say, "Oh, I think it's good," but personally, I'm not as bothered, but I still personally enjoy it a lot. But yeah, Usually doesn't happen with TV episodes, but for this, I get why it was done so well and why people like it. I just personally don't enjoy that much.
Yeah, I think I do remember that the bully keeps saying that he wants to kick his butt and whatever, and but yeah, again, it was just another one like you that I just didn't really enjoy. Found it average, maybe. Although I've noticed again, like I feel like a lot of the episodes with like Mrs. Puff or like Mrs. Puff's Spouting School, I just find those to be like some of the weakest episodes personally. Just don't really enjoy them and what happens in them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, the problem is I think things like Plankton trying to rob the formula. By the end of season 3, I thought this is like dry now. I don't really see the point in any more Plankton episodes, especially after the movie conclusion. Like he's run his course as the main villain. Give him other stuff to do instead of try. Maybe rob the formula once in a while, but not all the time because we know he's never going to get the formula, so it's boring. With Mrs. Puff storylines, I feel like after the first episode, it run its course. Like, yeah, it was funny. He failed his driving test. That was a funny, good episode. But after that, it's like, what's the point of more Mrs. Puff episodes? Apart from the one where she's dating Mr. Krabs, I don't really see the point of more Mrs. Puff episodes, or at least ones that revolve around. Like, actually, the one where she passes him, and she's worried about his driving. That one was kind of funny, I suppose. But I think him trying to pass his driving test and the school environment type episodes, I feel like they're just kind of boring. I think they've run their course, and they're just not that much fun.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's only a few little bits here and there which are good that that relate to Mrs. Puff, but otherwise, yeah, I don't see why she's a recurring character. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess she has her moments, but that's it really. Yeah, guess but yeah, I found that episode I think pretty average as well, if not one of my least favorites. Probably, I don't know. So
now on to Nasty Patty. This is the one where the health inspector comes and they give him one of everything basically. Mr. Krabs is worried about it because if he doesn't pass, the Krusty Krab could be shut. So Mr. Krabs has been very generous with the food to get passed on this inspection. But then the news say we have a fake health inspector on the loose, and then Mr. Krabs is like free food, which was quite an iconic scene. And they think that their Nasty Patty killed him, but he was actually choking on a fly. And it's funny how things keep happening in the environment to knock the health inspector out again and again, to stop him from being able to explain, yeah, you've already passed, it's fine, which is quite funny. And yeah, then SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs being so panicked and trying to pin everything on each other, that's quite funny. All their back and forths, and Mr. Krabs just being very OCD and crazy. Yeah, it's quite just a fun Banterous episode, to be honest. I'd say it's great. I enjoy it quite a lot. It is quite funny. I mean, it is a bit uncomfortable for a SpongeBob episode, but it didn't actually bother me too much as a kid. I just sort of thought, oh well, they made a mistake and they don't want to go to prison. Great episode. Enjoy it quite a bit.
See, this is one of those episodes which I don't know that I can remember that much about it. What exactly sort of happens then? I know you said a few things, but
yeah. So the Krusty Krab gets a health inspection. Then the health inspector has one of everything. Then the news comes up and says there's a fake health inspector trying to get free food. And then when they've already given him the Nasty Patty and they're laughing about him choking to death, which is a little bit too far in my opinion for SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs. But yeah, they're laughing about it. And then after that, he what's it called? So they're like the newsfish says, we have found the inspector and he's been caught. Here's a picture of him now. And they're like, oh no, we've killed him. No. And then they've got to hide the body. And then 2 police roll up and then they give him a lift back to the Krusty Krab. And they've got to try and hide the body because the body fell out of the ground because it rained. And then the body came out of the ground and slipped down a hill. It does sound quite dark, but it's done in a funny, banterous way.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's not in my favourite episodes, but so I'm not sure whether I found it decent or I probably found it decent. I think can't quite remember, but yeah, it's probably. Yeah, I probably found it average to decent, I imagine. So yeah.
So now on to the idiot box. This is the one where a TV is ordered. SpongeBob orders a TV, and then they chuck the TV out, and Squidward's like, "Well, can I have it then?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then they have it arsing around in this box, and they're creating scenarios. And Squidward's rolling up, and he's like, "What is all this noise? What the hell's going on?" And they're climbing mountains, taking on space, robot pirates, and all this stuff. And they keep telling Squidward, "You need to use your imagination." And then he's like, "I have more imagination in my left pinky toenail than you do in your whole bodies," or something funny like that. And then when he goes in the box to try and join their imaginary scenarios, it's just completely dead arse. They're just going, "Let's go to Pirate Island then." Beep, 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 beep. Arr. Beep, beep, whoosh. And Squidward's like, "Well, where's all the sound effects and all the madness?" And they're like, "Oh, well, it's just in our imagination, isn't it?" And Squidward's getting obsessed and going mad over it. And he thinks the police are after him at one point because they have they pretend that the police are after them in a box while they're in the box. He's like, "Oh, officer, quick! Here, have my box here." And then because they think like there's some weird box keeping law or something, Squidward thinks, which is quite funny. But yeah, just him flipping out over everything. It's quite hilarious in this episode, and it's quite funny that. Sorry, my brain just gone blank. Yeah, I find it quite interesting that they do something that other shows fail to do. So like they just animate a box and sound effects, and use sound effects, and you got Squidward's facial reactions. Like that's a good low budget animate. Well, it's a good decision to save money on animations. You know what I'm saying? While other shows have done this and they've made it rubbish, like Family Guy will leave the same animated scene on for like a minute for a rubbish animated joke. While this is it fits the plot and it's quite funny and practical. And then Squidward jumps in the box and he starts thinking, "Oh yeah, my imagination, woohoo!" But then it's actually just a garbage truck picking up the box, and he thinks he's driving a race car, but it's just the truck recovering him, and then he ends up in a dump, which was quite a funny conclusion. Amazing episode, enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah, I think I found that one. I'm trying to think. I probably found it good. I think not. I didn't put it in my favourites, but yeah, I probably found that decent to good. I imagine. And yeah, I suppose it was kind of unique in its concept, and like what you said, just sort of the use of sound effects and rather than animation, I suppose. So yeah, I suppose it was. I think it was somewhat entertaining. I think from what I remember, just not one of my favourites. I guess just not you know just not sort of maybe good enough or funny enough for me to put it in my favourites. You know.
Yeah, man. Now on to Mermaid Man Barnacle Boy 4. Well above average. I do enjoy the episode. SpongeBob shrinking people and all this madness, you know. If you want to grow big and strong like me, Barnacle Boy, you got to make room for seconds. Boom. And the belly flies out. That bit's quite funny. And you've got it set for M to Mermaid Man when it should be set to W for Wombo. I Wombo, you Wombo, he, she, me, Wombo. The study of wombology. It's first grade, SpongeBob. You know, all those antics were quite banterous. But yeah, apart from that, it's just arsing around and shrinking, and the town getting annoyed at SpongeBob for him shrinking them all out of panic. Yeah, it's well above average. I enjoy it a bit, but it's not really anything special. I prefer some of the other Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. Yeah.
But personally, I haven't really. I don't know. I found the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes to be like, or at least the first three, to be some of the weaker episodes. Personally, I haven't really enjoyed those as much. But I think this fourth one was probably my favourite so far of
Okay.
that kind of series. I think. I guess I just probably just found it a bit funnier with it, like with the. Isn't this the one with their arch nemesis as well? Whatever his
No,
name
there's
is.
no arch nemesis. No, not in this one.
Is it not? Is it not the one with all the villains?
In the Super Friends, that's when a couple of arch nemesis come in. When
Oh,
Bob turns bad, that one's really good. That's my favourite one.
oh,
This
okay.
is
I
the one
thought it
where
was that one.
This is the one where SpongeBob just turns everyone small. Doesn't really have that much Merman Man and Barnacle Boy in it, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think I kind of remember it. Bits of it. Um, is this like just one of those episodes again where sort of SpongeBob sort of gets ahead of himself? Like he ends up like just making everything small or whatever.
Um, he just turns everything small, and Squidward comes in, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm telling Merman Man." He goes, "No, no, no, no," and he's what Merman Man to find
Oh
out. He turns him
yeah,
small, and then he turns everyone else small because he just
mm,
panics about it all.
yeah, yeah. One of those. Yeah, yeah. I probably found it to be like average, another average one, really. Yeah, in that case. Yeah.
Now on to doing time. A bit of a weird one, really. This is the one where Mrs. Puff goes to prison because SpongeBob goes flying through the air in a car and destroys a retirement home. Um, I just, I, I just found it a bit cruel, to be honest with you. I just say like probably the weakest episode of season 3 so far. I'd say it's a smidge below average. I don't want to say it's horrendous or even bad, but a little bit below average. It just seems very, very nasty and mean to Mrs. Puff. She's happy that she's in prison and she doesn't have to deal with SpongeBob anymore. And he just keeps trying to break her out, even though every time she tells him, "Look, I'm happy in prison, leave me alone." And he keeps trying to break her out because he feels guilty. But even SpongeBob isn't this stupid. The only good bit was the bit where he's trying to rob the bank and he goes, "Put the money in the bag, put the money in." And he's turning away and he's got a sock on his head. And then they're like, "Well, how much do you want out of your savings?" And he says, "How much have I got?" "Oh, like 50 cents." Oh, okay. And then they just end up smuggling themselves into prison, and everyone thinks Mrs. Puff's insane, and SpongeBob keeps winding her up, and then it's a bloody fantasy, and she's like, "Oh, okay, it was all just a dream," and then it's all just a dream again afterwards. And it's the one who this big, broad, muscly lady. Actually, no, you can say butch lady, can't you? That's not offensive, is it at all? So this butch lady in
Mm.
prison who's quite masculine. She's like, "What's for dinner tonight, Puff Mama?" She's the one in the car with Mrs. Puff. It's just really cool to Mrs. Puff, to be honest. It just seems like SpongeBob's just a complete moron in it. A smidge below average, weakest episode of the season so far.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't really enjoy the episode, and yeah, I think I found the ending to be stupid.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I think it was just the fact that SpongeBob and Patrick they just kept. Um, well, they didn't leave her alone, did they? But I
yeah,
think was it for the pretty much the entire episode. Yeah, I can't remember a lot of it, but yeah, there's the certain important bits I can remember. But yeah, I just didn't. Again, another Mrs. Puff episode, which I didn't really enjoy. So one of the
yeah.
weakest episodes, probably.
Don't blame you. Yeah, they're just, I don't know, they're just too stupid, ain't it, man? As you said, the ending's just stupid. Like, I know it sounds, I don't know, when you're a kid, it might look like random funny XD humour, but as an adult watching it back, it's like, oh, well, that just seems like a bloody pulling out of their arse ending where they didn't know how to end it. You know, I mean, I don't know. I would have ended it. I guess maybe Mrs. Puff gets fed up in prison and she escapes herself. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, below average. Snowball
Mm.
Effect is the next episode. It's basically when Squidward, SpongeBob, and Patrick have a big snowball fight. I always look forward to this episode. When I was a kid, I really enjoyed it, and when I rewatched it, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's all right. It's decent fun. I'd say a well above average episode. I wouldn't quite say it's good, but it's well above average. How into the battle Squidward gets and he starts going mad. I get why some people might love it and find it very funny, but I didn't find the episode next level interesting. Just a lot of talking and throwing snowballs, and I guess some of it was entertaining with some of the back and forths about like war jargon and war dialogue. But Yeah, well above average episode. I enjoyed it somewhat.
I actually really enjoyed it. And this is actually the next episode on my list of favourites. So I clearly did really enjoy it. I think I did just like the fact that it was like a big like battle, like as if it was a war. And I don't know. I think I just found a lot of the humor funny with them. Was this an episode where like I'm pretty sure they did some like weird stuff. Like there were some funny shots with like wasn't there like a shot of Squidward having loads of snowballs thrown in his mouth? I think I'm not sure or something.
I know there was. I know. Oh, I know. Patrick went to the door and he was like, and
Oh yeah.
he swallows it all. That bit was a bit fun. Like it was quite a funny episode. I just found the story a bit boring. I just thought the story was just a bit like. But I suppose, but it's difficult because, like, obviously, I mentioned with Bubble Stand, I really enjoy that one, and that's a bit similar with Squidward's Breakdown. But I just felt like the build-up was a bit funnier with SpongeBob trying to sell bubbles and all this crap, and and Squidward kept trying and failing and all this crap. Yeah, with this, I'm not saying it's bad. It is still quite funny, but I say it's well above average. Like I do get why you like it because it does. The Squidward Breakdown is quite funny, but I just think the story didn't carry it very well. I thought the story was a little bit like,
I suppose, yeah. There's not much to it. It's a bit simple, but I don't know. I think with something like SpongeBob, if I'm entertained, I'm happy. Really, I have to admit. That's the main thing for me. I think it's the humor. Yeah, I guess I really enjoyed it. There must have been some funny moments as well. Can't remember exactly what, but yeah, I think I must have definitely found a lot of it funny. So yeah, I guess it's another one that would be rewatchable for me, I suppose.
yeah, that's fair, man. I do get why you'd enjoy it a lot. Now on to As Seen on TV. Now, when I was a kid, I found this one really boring. And whenever I see the episode, I think to myself, oh, it's this one again. But then when I watch it, I actually enjoy it quite a bit. I think it's pretty good. Mainly, I really enjoy the intro with all the film crew. And then when Mr. Krabs is like, what the hell's all this money for? He's like, all of you leave, get out of here, you moochers. Apart from you, you stay, to the clown. And then the commercial itself ends up just being the biggest crock of rubbish ever. And SpongeBob gets 2 scenes and he's so happy about it and he thinks he's like some big shot actor. And then he's like, oh, I need to leave now, Mr. Krabs. Like, it's a very hysterical episode, It's just like quite funny how obsessed SpongeBob becomes with just a couple scenes in a commercial and how he pisses off all the customers and Squidward and he's in his own world and everyone just wants him to do Krabby Patties for him. So whenever I'm not watching the episode, I think to myself, not this one again. I just forget about it. But now that I've watched it a few times over the years, it's actually quite funny, pretty good.
I can remember some of it. Well, bits of it again, but like you said about how SpongeBob only has 2 scenes in the advert at the end. I can't really remember most of it. It wasn't in my favourites, so it was. I probably found it okay. I think. But again, I can't really say too much about it. Wish I could, but yeah.
Now on to Can You Spare a Dime? This one's hilarious, man. This one's absolute pure banter. It's basically when Mr. Krabs says, where's me original dime gone? Me first dime. And then he's like, well, dime, you don't just misplace dimes. 1, you stole it. 2, you stole it. 3, you stole it. I didn't take your precious dime. I want to see those tentacles. You better take a lie detector test. It wasn't doing that order, but it was quite funny how it builds up and he goes, hey, like, see him or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
When he squeezes eyeballs and he goes, what? He goes, I quit. Because you can't quit. And then I could be anything I want. A footballer. Because SpongeBob goes out and tries to convince him not to quit his job. He goes, I could be a footballer. A king. An astronaut. And he goes, you could be a football playing king in space with a mustache. And he goes, And but then a few weeks later, he's homeless. So SpongeBob takes him in. to look out for him, and he does him breakfast all the time and all this stuff. And you think, damn, SpongeBob's really being nice to Squidward, and Squidward sort of just treats him like a complete bloody servant for months. He's quite nasty to him. I was a bit concerned when Squidward said, "Why aren't you in uniform? Why did he make SpongeBob dress like a maid?" That's a little bit, well, there you go.
I know, yeah.
And then the bit that made me laugh the most is when he's doing the puppet show with the TV, and he's trying to tell him to get a job, and he says, "This could be someone's job, and you need to get a job and do a job." And then he's prodding his nose. He goes, "What are you saying?" And SpongeBob goes, "Ah," and pushes him out and runs to the Krusty Krab.
Yeah.
And he starts strangling Mr. Krabs, going, "Listen, you crustaceous cheapskate, you better take him back now." And then the time falls out of his pants, and then Squidward and Mr. Krabs start arguing at the very end of the episode. He's like, "Well, dimes just don't fall into people's pants. You must have put it in there. 2, you put the dime in me pants. 3, you put the dime in me pants." It's like, bloody hell, this episode slapped, man. It was absolutely amazing. Story, comedy, animation, brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, no, this is one of my favorites as well. I forgot actually. I didn't realize I'd actually started making notes a few, from Mermaid Man 4. I didn't realize, but yeah. Like I said, I put it. Thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was odd how Squidward acts like somewhat out of character in the sense that he's being like lazy and getting SpongeBob to be his servant, because he hasn't been like this before, but it was, but I guess it was funny. And then that's the thing, doesn't he? Because he loses everything. He said himself. What else have I put? Yeah, and I said that Krabs ended up making Squidward leave for nothing. And I just said like funny moments, like some of the stuff you mentioned, like when Squidward squeezes Krabs' eyes and says, "Here, here, here," and Squidward barking his orders with SpongeBob running around all the time.
Yeah.
SpongeBob getting to the point of losing it and pushing Squidward back to the Krusty Krab in SpongeBob's bed. And I said as well that Krabs is a bit of a glutton for punishment, because he's in this episode as SpongeBob throttles him too, like you said at the end, and Krabs starts blaming Squidward again at the end. And I just put as well that I thought it was actually a bit sad when that Squidward lost everything at the start, after quitting his job. But it makes sense with the title of the episode. So yeah, but really enjoyed it. Yeah,
fair play. We did actually accidentally miss the previous episode, One Krabs Trash, so I'll just overrun that one quickly. Mr. Krabs pranks SpongeBob into buying a number 1 hat. Then he realised it's basically the hat is priceless straight after he cons SpongeBob into buying it. And then he does everything to get the hat back. He holds a piece of paper and pretends he's a ghost, and he goes, "Ah, a floating shopping list!" And then he turns the paper around and it's a ghost. It's just funny how gullible SpongeBob is. And then Mr. Krabs says, "That hat belongs to Smitty Weberman Jensen," or whatever his name is. And then SpongeBob, after a few seconds, has returned. He's like, "What? There's no..." And then he goes to the graveyard. He's basically really grave robbing, but I found Smitty Weberman Jenkins' character and voice quite funny. Like, he's not some historical sounding posh bloke. He's just like, "Hey man, give me back my hat. Not yours, it's mine." That was all quite funny. When he basically takes on a bloody army of the dead throughout the whole night. And the bit where he says, "Here lies Squidward's hopes and dreams. What a baby." And then when he's crying at the end because the hats are worthless, Squidward walks up to him and goes, "What a baby." So that episode was actually great. I really enjoyed it. The banter, the comedy, Mr. Krabs getting his comeuppance and, failing in the end. It was quite funny and satisfying to watch. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Great episode.
Yeah, so I put that the premise was interesting. I thought Mr. Krabs was kind of funny and hypocritical at the same time. He got what he deserved though in the end. And he also deserved what came to him after ripping people off with his antique sale at start. Well, antiques. And I put that it was mad that he was essentially dismembering loads of dead people in a cemetery when you think about it.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah. I mean, it was done in a kind of, like, I don't know, like a sort of fun way or whatever. But yeah, but it proves that he'll do basically anything for money. And I noticed a few pop culture references from Mr. Krabs, which are good to hear and funny. I can't remember the exact examples, but there were some mentions. And I said that it's another episode where a character ends up going to a lot of trouble to achieve something, only for it to be all for nothing.
Yeah.
The hat proved to be completely worthless, and Squidward calls Mr. Krabs a baby for crying about the hat being worthless. After Mr. Krabs said the same about him when he was crying about something stupid, but proves Krabs was just as stupid. So I thought it was a decent, maybe even good episode overall.
Yeah, fair dues, man. Now on to No Weenies Allowed. People like this one a lot, and a lot does happen, and it is quite a funny, simple premise how SpongeBob wants to get into the Salty Spittoon or whatever it's called, the toughest club. And yeah, just seeing his antics trying to get in over and over again. Like he pretends to be a tattoo. He pretends to, well, you think he's pretending to be someone else, but he actually is a different SpongeBob with the black hair. And then the original SpongeBob comes on with a wig, which is quite funny. He even accidentally ends up in a scrap with two tough guys who are fighting each other, and he ends up in the fighting spinning ball. Yeah, that was pretty all right. The scenes with the weenies giving him the ideas, people in Weenie Hut Juniors, that's quite funny. And Patrick doing the fight with SpongeBob trying to help him, that's quite hilarious. He's like, nobody calls me Tubby. And he goes, no, Patrick, you meant to let me win. He goes, oh. And then he just ends up beating the crap out of himself, going, He goes, no, please, have mercy. Oh,
yeah.
That bit was pretty hilarious. And then someone called Ken has put hello, Ken, how are you? Thank you for joining. So that bit was quite hilarious. And then he ends up getting in and he slips on an ice cube, but you don't see that. You just see him saying, Sandy, what happened? And she goes, you slipped on an ice cube as soon as you walked in there. Great episode. Yeah, really enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Great jokes. Pretty good story. Yeah, fun times.
I put that it was. I guess I found it an okay episode with an okay concept. So I put that I found certain elements of humor funnier, like when SpongeBob dances as a tattoo on that fish's arm, and when Patrick somehow goes to extreme lengths to get himself beaten up. Episode was interesting to watch, to see the story progress and see if SpongeBob would get into the salty spittoon, which he eventually does, but in typical SpongeBob fashion, he didn't go to hospital due to being beat up. He went as he slipped on an ice cube on the way in, which is funny when you think about it, with the same sort of payoff as other episodes. Continuing a trope with the episode, the doctor we've seen before won't treat him in the normal hospital.
Oh, the weenie hospital.
So he has to go to a weenies hospital instead, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I found it interesting and parts of it funny, but I guess otherwise I must have thought it was just okay overall. Not really. Not one that I'd probably go back and watch, but it's still probably a decent time.
Now next is Squilliam Returns. Now, I don't want to assume things or put words in your mouth, but I reckon you enjoy this episode. But I'll tell you something. I think it's very above average, and some of it is quite funny. And I like how everyone comes to help Squidward. But I don't know. I just kind of find it a bit of a kick in the balls, really, because Squidward finally gets to stick it to Squilliam. No, not finally. That's the first episode Squilliam's in, but he gets to stick it to his high school rival in Bang Geeks, and then now it's like he's just ended up looking like a bit of a tit. He wins for a bit, but then SpongeBob loses his mind, and Mr. Krabs' meal tries to eat him. It's well above average. Like, it's decent fun, but I just end up feeling, personally, I really didn't enjoy it because of the ending off. I wanted Squidward to one-up Squilliam again, and it just made me think, it's just pointless, man. It just felt really pointless, to be honest with you. Yeah, and the end just annoyed me. That's all I'll say.
Well, yeah, I do actually agree with you. I mean, yeah, I did find some stuff funny, and like some stuff, but yeah, I've said that I had mixed feelings about the episode. I feel like bringing back Squilliam somewhat nullifies the payoff of Band Geeks, where
Yeah.
Squilliam could have remained a one-off rival to Squidward, who was proved wrong in the end. I guess they didn't necessarily have to bring him back, but
Mhm.
I know that he does return a number of times in the show. But I thought there was some funny humour where Squidward does a bit of a monologue at the start about leaving the Krusty Krab and then going on to greater things, and then he gets the applause. And I thought it was intriguing how there was a focus on Squidward getting SpongeBob to clear his mind, where we see a
Oh, yeah.
visualization of what's happening in his brain, and he only knows how to breathe and do fine dining. So I guess that was different. Yeah, that was interesting to see. And then I said, well, when all is seemingly lost near the end, like Band Geeks, SpongeBob miraculously achieves the impossible thanks to Squidward and makes the Krusty Krab a 5-star restaurant right before Squilliam and his friends go in. Things are going swimmingly until Squilliam asks SpongeBob his name and he doesn't know due to clearing his mind earlier on. And then SpongeBob's brain splits in half and he loses control, like you said, and throwing water in Squilliam's face and
Yeah.
doing rude things to his friends.
Grating the bloke
So,
with a cheese grate.
oh yeah,
That was a bit like what's going on.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I put quite a lot about this one actually. And then I said, funny seeing how earlier on SpongeBob ended up tying up Patrick and Krabs as they were utterly useless, and so they wouldn't get in the way as well as messing things up. Squilliam sees that Squidward is a fraud and tricks him into thinking for a moment that he's only been a cashier too, as Squidward had tricked him. That was all a lie, as he has done everything Squidward wanted to achieve, and he leaves.
Yeah, it's just
In
annoying.
this case,
Sorry to interrupt you. It's just annoying how he just says, "Oh, I'm not actually a cashier." It's like, oh, stick up your arse, Squilliam.
I know, yeah, he's such a And then where was I? In this case, Squilliam gets his revenge and comes out on top, but only thanks to SpongeBob messing things up himself without Krabs and Patrick to do it, which is the funny thing. And then Krabs playing the world's smallest violin to mock Squidward the
Oh,
first and third time, and Squilliam the second time was kind of funny.
yeah.
And Squidward saying, "Would you get out of here?" to Krabs was a bit funny. Shows that, like in other episodes, there's not always a happy ending with the payoff not always being satisfying, but I don't know. That's the thing with the episode, though. You'd rather the characters you like come out on top, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. And this is part of the reason I have mixed feelings about the episode, as Squilliam has the last laugh this time, even though they didn't really have to or need to bring him back. And then I said, "What?"
Even though that's actually a
Yeah.
joke from Reservoir Dogs. He says, "This is the world's smallest violin playing for all the waitresses who have to rely on tips." It was something weird like that. So it's actually a joke from Reservoir Dogs, but I originally heard it in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay, so that's another sort of like reference then, I guess.
You should watch Reservoir Dogs, man. It's honestly one of my favorite films of all time. It's such an easy watch. There is vulgar language and quite a lot of madness, but it's not like particularly violent or anything. It's on ITVX now, Liam. If you want to, hold on, it might be on Netflix as well. Oh yes, it's on Netflix, Liam. You got to watch this film, man. It's for me, it's one of my favorite films of all time, and an objective rating, I'll give it like a 9.5 out of 10. It's such a bloody easy watch. It's so practical and fantastic. How practical they are with all like the story and the writing and the locations, but they make it feel epic still. Like a Reservoir Dogs, you could kind of just get like he was originally going to do it with $30,000 and his mates Quentin Tarantino, but then Harvey Keitel said, "I want to produce this for you," and he gave him like 1.5 million dollars, but still
Wow.
$1.5 million to make a film like that. He spent. Pardon me. He spent that $1.5 million phenomenally. Granted, the actors were fine with not having much money for the film, but sadly, it only made nearly 3 million at the box office. It's such an amazing film, man, and it only made like 3 million. It's so sad, but obviously you can't feel too sad for him because fortunately he made Pulp Fiction a couple years later, and that film was very successful at the box office for a film that isn't about a franchise or a book, and it made like bloody $213 million, and the budget was $8 to $8.5 million. He was probably rolling in it, man. He was proper chuffed with that,
Yeah.
I reckon. And it's one of the best
Mm.
films ever as well. It's 10 out of 10 from me, that film. So it's so nice to see such an amazing film get so much money. I don't know if you'd enjoy Pulp Fiction as much. I think you'd enjoy Reservoir Dogs better, to be honest. I think that's more your sort of film. Pulp Fiction's a bit more vulgar and horrible, and but I think it's also one of my favorites, and it's a 10 out of 10, one of the best films ever. But as I say, there's a lot more vulgar stuff in it, and it's a longer film as well. I still think you might enjoy it though, but I think you'd find it easier watching Reservoir Dogs.
Mm. I guess I don't know. I guess I'll have to start watching some Tarantino films. Be interesting to see what I think.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy. I've watched all of them apart from Death Proof. I've just been too lazy. But I think out of the films he directed, you'd enjoy Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. I think you'd be a bit like at some of the parts of Pulp Fiction, but I don't think you mind it too much. I think you might enjoy Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards, but I'm not 100% sure. Kill Bill and Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, as much as I love them, I think the violence, you wouldn't like how violent and gory it is. I think you'd be a bit cringed by it. But the story is amazing, bro. The story of Kill Bill 1 and 2 is like bloody quality, man. I'm surprised GC doesn't like it. He just is boring, even though it's like an anime film come to life, you know. But both Kill Bill 1 and 2 absolutely slap. Amazing films. Right behind Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, in my opinion. I think you might like Jackie Brown a bit. It's not that violent or vulgar, but I find it a bit boring. But I think you might enjoy it a bit, but you might find it a bit boring as well. The Hateful Eight it could have been amazing, but it went on for 3 hours, man. I was like, for goodness sake, I'm so bored now. Like, by the end of it, I was just like, oh, they should have just made it like an hour and 40. It did not need to be that long, preposterous. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood it's pretty good. Yeah. You might like it.
Fair enough. So, getting back to what I was saying about Squilliam Returns, yeah, mad how we ended up going on that tangent, but there you go. Just from that reference there, Reservoir Dogs. What did I say? There's not much more. I said that I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least another episode with Squilliam at some point, and I did notice that there is an episode a bit later on in some later series with Squilliam. And then I just said, hopefully Squidward comes out on top again, though. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It depends on whether we end up watching it. I don't know.
I've seen those. Oh, sorry. Go on. I'll take a second.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I've seen those episodes where Squilliam comes back. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't remember if Squidward wins or not in most of them, but they're very bad. They're not that good. There's one bit where I think Squilliam goes like that, which is quite funny. But apart from that specific meme where he makes some weird noise, he goes like that. Apart from that one moment, all the Squilliam episodes are. But you might enjoy. I don't know. To be honest, we've had different tastes in the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob. There's been episodes. I think we're agreeing quite a bit on season 3, but season 1 and 2, we've completely respectfully disagreed. Like in season 1, I've said this episode's a banger, this episode's goated, and this episode's amazing. Then you're like, I'm not that bothered about that episode. I didn't find it that interesting because it wasn't that funny. And then season 2, there's loads of episodes that I loved in season 2. Well, I think it's like a 10 out of 10 series, but obviously you were like, well, it's a lot of the episodes you were just like, well, I don't really find them particularly that good, which is interesting because again, you know, it's like it'd be a bit boring if we just had the same opinions as the SpongeBob fan base or the people or everyone who grew up with this show. You know, it's good to have different opinions on things and see what people like. And I think from what you've said, you enjoy comedy in animated shows over the story, and I could be wrong, like correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just what I've gathered. And I'd say I do like a bit of comedy, because I've watched it so much as a kid, I'm kind of numb to the comedy, so I'm more bothered about like the story of the episode, if that makes sense. There's still some very funny episodes, but like I watched them so much now that I don't really. It's not really haha that was funny because I already knew what was going to happen. Like there are bits that I smiled at, but I didn't really laugh out loud on the recent rewatchings of SpongeBob season 1 to 3.
Okay, yeah. No, but like you say, yeah, it's good that we have those different opinions. And I mean, yeah, you think series 2 is a 10 out of 10. I mean, I don't think series 1 or 2 personally was a 10 out of 10. Just because I think, even though there's loads of good and great episodes, you know, I still think there's quite a few sort of like decent to below average ones. So yeah. But yeah, the last few things I've put about Squilliam Returns, I just said don't know whether I would choose to rewatch it, as I wasn't a big fan of the ending. And then I just said perhaps Squidward and Squilliam will have a running rivalry throughout the show, which I guess is going to happen. Yeah.
Now on to Cat Crabborg. Quite a funny episode, to be honest. Some people don't really like it, but like, I enjoy it quite a lot, to be honest. I think most of the fan base enjoy it. It's when SpongeBob stays up late watching a robot film and where robots take over the world, and he's just next level paranoid about it. And Scribbles tried to say, "Look, robots don't exist. Calm down." And then you gradually see bits and bobs where Mr. Krabs is like talking on the radio, asking about a song, and then he says, "I'm after the song that goes beep boop boop beep boop bop." And then he's like beep, and then the bloke on the other end of the phone is going, "No, you're on about beep boop bop bop boop beep." He goes beep boop boop bop bop boop boop beep beep boop boop ba. And then he put some batteries in his pocket for something that he was going to use batteries for. And then he accidentally gets salt, and he gets salt in his eyes, and he's going, ah! And he has an egg in a metal clipper, and he's going, ah! Ah! And then SpongeBob and Squidward finally see that, think that he's a robot. And then even Squidward's like been fooled by it. And then they're like, everyone, robots are taking over the world! Our world! And then they're going, ah! And then he's like, SpongeBob says, operator, get me through to the Navy. And then they're like, we'll put you through now. He's like, oh no, they've got the Navy. Then Squidward goes, not the Navy. And it's just funny how much they're both freaking out. And then they kidnap Mr. Krabs and they're slapping him over and over again. He's like, I said, shut up, you bucket of boats. Then they start destroying his items and he cries because he's a greedy, bloody, money-obsessed bloke. And then they're like, oh, well, robots can't cry, can they? And then it only annoys that SpongeBob runs away at the end and Squidward has to clean up all the mess. But I suppose SpongeBob was still in the building because Mr. Krabs shouts, Squidward, SpongeBob. I like how in one of the shots of the Krusty Krab as well, the tables are flipped over, so they added some nice little detail there. You can, if you look really close at the bottom left, the tables are flipped over, so that was a nice little bit of detail. But yeah, amazing episode. I absolutely enjoy it. I find it quite hysterical and banterous, and where the story goes, it makes sense. It gradually builds up to Squidward believing that Mr. Krabs is a robot.
It's not one of my favourites, but I did put that I found it entertaining. I thought it was an entertaining episode and concept. I said that Squidward was perhaps a bit gullible to go along with SpongeBob and believe him so easily. But Mr. Krabs' dance is iconic, you know, that one. Which of course I used a clip of that as well. I remember in one of those Halo highlights. Yeah.
That's it. Is it when I was calling you a robot or something?
I can't remember. It might have been that, or when we were talking about SpongeBob at some point. I don't know. Yeah. What else did I say? I thought Squidward laughing at his own joke was funny, and SpongeBob and Squidward destroying Krabs' possessions was a bit funny. SpongeBob remembers that the film he watched at the start, where a man is being chased by a robot, ends with the revelation that it was all the man's imagination and exposes how gullible he always is, while Squidward is left looking stupid too. Furthermore, SpongeBob leaves Squidward to face Krabs' wrath on his own. So I said maybe not one of my favourites, but it was still, I guess I still enjoyed it, found it entertaining.
Now, On to Rockabye Valve. I found it kind of boring, to be honest. It was just funny how the only thing I really enjoyed was Patrick pretending to go to work just to avoid having to have anything to do with the clan that SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to raise. That was quite funny, but apart from that, I just found it pretty boring. Average episode.
I thought it was somewhat decent. As I said, somewhat decent with a different concept in the form of showing kids parenting and what can happen and does happen in some working dad and stay at home mom/housewife relationships where there was a baby. Funny when SpongeBob shows Patrick all the nappies the clams wore. Also fitting end where the clam kisses SpongeBob, who's sort of acting as the mom, as he did all the housework, while the clam drops a melon on his head and then kisses Patrick, who's acting as the dad because he went to work but wasn't actually working.
Yeah.
And was being irresponsible by leaving SpongeBob to do all the housework and look after the baby all the time, as well as getting back at midnight instead of 6 p.m. like he said he would. So, yeah, somewhat decent. Don't know whether I'd rewatch it, but I guess I thought it was, found some entertainment in it.
Yeah, now on to Wet Painters. Amazing. It's hilarious how anxious SpongeBob gets about, not getting paint on Mr. Krabs' decorations, but Patrick's just completely carefree. And then they get the tiniest little drop on his dollar, the tiniest smidge. And then Patrick's like, we have technology, boom, boom, boom. And they're just trying all sorts of things to clear up the speck, the tiny blob on the dollar. And and in the end, they completely wreck the dollar. And I think Mr. Krabs says something like, oh, well, that wasn't my first dollar. This was my first dollar. Ha, ha, ha. You idiots. Ha, ha, ha. And then he's laughing so much. And then all the paint melts. And he's like, I really need to learn to say it, not spray it. So that was an amazing episode. I just liked how worried SpongeBob was getting and how relaxed Patrick was about everything. The contrasting attitudes towards painting, that was pretty cool. And the outcome at the end as well was quite hilarious. Amazing episode. Really enjoy it. One of the best, man. One of the best. One of the very best.
I mean, again, I suppose I still somewhat enjoyed it, but I again, we've got a bit of a different opinion because I found it decent with some decent humor. I said it's kind of funny how SpongeBob and Patrick conveniently managed to get no paint on Mr. Krabs' floor. However, a tiny speck of permanent paint gets on Krabs' first dollar. And then, SpongeBob makes it worse and spreads the paint all over the note. When Krabs returns, he reveals the paint can be removed with saliva, which he uses to remove the paint from the note. Krabs lied about the paint being permanent to mess with SpongeBob and Patrick, which angers them, and they both leave, leaving Krabs in a fit of laughter. Krabs receives karma through the saliva coming out of his mouth, like he said, when he's laughing. So it goes all over the walls and removes the white paint, undoing SpongeBob and Patrick's work while serving as a satisfying ending that shows what can happen when you mess people about and put them through unnecessary worry and panic for nothing. So the ending was satisfying. And it was, I suppose it was decent. But again, not one of my favourites. But still a decent time.
Now on to the GOAT. Well, one of the best ever in my opinion. It's close to Bang Geeks, man. I love it. The Krusty Krab training video, bro. It's just utter bants. All that, it just flies by. I know every episode's only 11 minutes, but this flies by. It's just so much fun. Before you know it's over, I just love all the jokes. And it works because the jokes that would seem usually corny and silly work because it's a training video. When he goes, now onto the graph, graph, instead, and the giraffe comes on the screen. And the and hoopla, and he's saying, "Don't be a Squidward." And then Patrick's getting scared of so who's talking to me? Ah. And when Squidward is trying to actually be a good worker because he's on camera and being narrated about, and he's like, "Why don't you order a Krabby Patty? Would you like that with ketchup or salt or something?" And he just goes, "Oh," and then Squidward's banging his head on the cash register. All that it's just all hilarious, man. It just shows you what it's like to work at the Krusty Krab, and the ending's quite funny when he's about to reveal the secret formula, and he just cuts to black and cuts to the credits. Very funny. One of the best, man. Goated. I rank this episode as goated. I absolutely love it. It's just such an easy watch. It's so much fun. and the poop that bit. I can't remember the exact acronym, but it's something pretty funny. It's just how he says, you know, I don't know. I can't remember the bit about poop, but it just made me laugh when the poop was coming up on the screen.
Mhm. Yeah, personally, it's not in my favourites, but I did find it entertaining.
Damn.
And I thought it was unique because it's, a training video. Like I say, it's quite, and every one of those episodes is quite, different to all the others. With it being a training video instructing the viewer how to become a Krusty Krab employee. SpongeBob is the model employee who you should aspire to be like, or Squidward is the opposite, which makes sense considering how grumpy he is and the fact he doesn't like working at the Krusty Krab. The interaction between Squidward and Patrick was funny as it led to Squidward repeatedly banging his head against the cash register due to Patrick not being able to make his mind up when Squidward asked him a few choice-based questions. I did put this, even though this is now one of my favourite episodes. I thought I'd put it in my list, but there were a few parts I found annoying, which are typical of the show, such as SpongeBob running around and screaming when Plankton is trying to get away with the Krabby Patty.
I found that kind of funny because it. Oh, sorry, go on.
No. What
I found it kind of funny because it shows how SpongeBob gets so worried and obsessed with work, and then Mr. Krabs just walks over and just grabs Plankton and goes, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think it was just I just found SpongeBob annoying because he was just the way he was acting. Because I just find it, like when he does too much of something, like it was when he was running around and screaming when Plankton's trying to get away with it. I don't know. It's just stuff like that sometimes they do in the show, and I just don't. It's not funny, or just find it annoying. And it goes on sometimes goes on too long. The very slow reveal of the Krabby Patty was funny with the voiceover doing the epic reveal theme himself, like you said. But I did say, although you could argue that it went on for a bit too long and was a bit annoying, where it's like dudley, 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 and then he's like gasping for breath, and then he's doing, and he's because it's taking so long for the Krabby Patty to taking so long to like zoom into it or whatever. But I thought the ending was fitting, where like you said, before the voiceover revealed the Krabby Patty secret formula, the episode just ends. So I guess I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I suppose the only thing I probably wasn't a fan of was like I said, the SpongeBob running around and screaming, and maybe the bubbly bit maybe going on a bit too long in a way, even though it's
one of the best bits.
It is one of the most memorable moments, and it is funny, but at the same time, I think, I don't know, you could argue, like I said, that maybe it's one of those things where they just go a bit too far with it. I don't know, because I'm a bit too long, but I still clearly really enjoyed the episode.
Well, now on to SpongeBob's house party. It's a special. The patchy stuff was okay. I guess it was funny how much effort they put into the live action stuff. The SpongeBob episode itself, though, man, for a special, I thought it was bloody weak. I was just like, man, like the start was okay when he's running around the shop and having a laugh with that cashier and saying, "You look so good when you first started. Now look at you," and he's just miserable and fed up. And that's how it is with a lot of jobs. But the party itself, SpongeBob was ruining everything, man. Like you had all the different characters interacting. And then SpongeBob would say, be quiet, be quiet. It wasn't until this point in this party schedule you're meant to be having this chit-chat. And it's like, oh, just let the characters talk and have a laugh. Well, that's the point of getting all these characters together for something like this, is so they can have a laugh. Why does SpongeBob get obsessed over the party and just ruin everything, man? So I'd say, honestly, very annoying episode. Like I'd say overall, it's just average, but like it really got on my nerves how much he was just a complete idiot in this episode, man. And very boring for a special. It just felt like SpongeBob was arsing around, and then you could predict he'd get bloody locked out of his house all night, and then he gets arrested, which I guess was kind of funny. But yeah, just an average episode, man. I wasn't really that bothered.
Yeah, I didn't actually I don't have many notes on it, but yeah, again, the patchy stuff was, again, it's okay, but I think a lot of the patchy stuff really I find to be okay. Really, it's nothing special.
That song at the end was good though. Down in the sea, down, down, down at the bottom of the.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. They wasted it on this episode, man. What a waste of a song. That should have been like the whatever. I know the final episode of season 3 is pranks a lot, but that should have been the ending of that episode. Wasted.
Yeah. I mean, all I said was that it was a decent episode. Well, I thought it was a decent episode, I guess, overall, with good humour at times. But yeah, so the live action scenes with Patchy weren't so good and enjoyable as usual. Parts of it were okay. I thought SpongeBob having a schedule for the party was funny, and trying to strictly stick to it was funny too. Well, I guess I found that funny, but otherwise, yeah, I guess it was decent, but nothing more, I guess.
Now on to the GOAT, one of the GOATs. This would be up there as well, near Bang Geeks. Chocolate with nuts. I've got a feeling you're not as bothered about this one as I am. However, I absolutely enjoy it, bro. I just like how they're trying to be entrepreneurs and they keep going to all these different people's houses and failing, and then they prank people into buying the chocolate by saying, like, it'll make you look younger, it'll make you not be ugly. And then another version of Patrick is like, thanks, just in time, and all this stuff. And they try and prank some bloke when they're injured, and then he pranks them by pretending to be injured as well and have loads of disabilities. The bit with the really old worm lady, the woman who lives with her mother who's like a worm, and she's like, I remember when they first invented chocolate. That was quite funny. And then the bloke who's running after him all day screaming, chocolate, chocolate. He actually just wanted to buy the whole lot, which was a hilarious, funny twist. And then they end up going on a double date with those two old women. That was just like, damn. Well, that's what they do with their money, I guess. Good old SpongeBob and Patrick. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You are right. You loved it, whereas I thought it was one of my least favourites so far because
least
of the annoying
favourites. What?
Yeah. Yep.
What?
Yeah. So I said that also 2 of the characters were fat phobic towards Patrick. Patrick and SpongeBob were selling chocolate. I think I said I was trying to remember about what, like, whether this happened in the episode, because I said a recurring character conned them 3 times, I think, something like that. Which he got them to do to sell the chocolate throughout the episode. A few somewhat funny moments, but an unenjoyable episode overall. Certain humour, which was repetitive, would be funny for some kids, though. The character screaming chocolate throughout the episode was following them because he actually wanted to buy some chocolate, so him being annoying wasn't just random and out of place. But I still found it to be one of the worst parts of the episode. I don't know, because I thought it was just... I've just thought that was personally annoying anyway. Like I say, it wasn't out of place, so there was a reason for it, but it was still... I don't know, I still thought personally it was just stupid, so... Yeah, there we go. Well, I think I've killed James. Bloody hell. Yeah, my different opinion has shocked him to the point of just being frozen.
Liam, I can't lie. Most of the episodes that you've said aren't as good. I've been like, you know what? I get where he's coming from. With this, I don't get where you're coming from at all. But fair, it's each to their own. You could say, you could say Bang Geeks is a boring pile of arse. It's whatever. But with this, I am quite shocked. But each to their own. I thought you'd just say like, oh, it's average or above average. But saying it's like one of your least favorites, I'm like, bro, this episode was a banger. Damn. Oh well. Now on to Merman Man and Barnacle Boy 5. In my opinion, the best one. It's quite funny at the start when he's like, large
super friends.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Super Friends one.
Yeah.
And a pipsqueak meal for the lad. And he's like, I'm 68 years old. And they're all cracking jokes at him wanting a pipsqueak meal. No, being forced to have a pipsqueak meal. And then he says, I'm Barnacle Man, and I'm joining the Legion of Evil and all this stuff. And then you've got all the other people, Sandy, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward becoming superheroes. And Squidward at first, he's like, I'm not doing that, forget it. And then it makes sense, though, because Mr. Krabs rolls up to him and says, yes, you are, Mr. Squidward. No world means no money. Now go out there and save the world. It's like, Mr. Krabs, you lazy dick. I know you're his gaffer, but come on, do something yourself, you lazy fart. Anyway, it was all quite funny, Krakatoa! And all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All the banter and hearing the chief say, you need to sort this out and go out to make out reef. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! When he pretends to kiss himself or whatever. That was pretty funny. And then the Dirty Bubble Man Ray and Barnacle Man are just shining lights at the people making out, and the bloke making out with the pillow. That was pretty funny. And then all the heroes just completely fail at using their powers. And then it's a funny twist at the end because what's his name? Barnacle Man says, my third demand is I want a adult sized Krabby Patty. And then he ends up wanting to be like mates with, I'm probably getting bits and pieces wrong, but he wants to be mates with Mermaid Man again. And then Dirty Bubble and Man Ray are like, no. And then the episode ends with everyone laughing, loads of different people laughing. And it's meant to be like a mock parodying, I guess, old hero shows like Batman from the 60s. Amazing episode, really enjoy it. Great fun, great banter, great concept. And the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy one so far. I found the up and away stuff in the very first episode a lot funnier, and it's me, you old coot, and all that stuff. But this I found was a way better story and had way more going on for it. But probably the funniest one was the one where they're in the Mermaid Man cave, where they're unfreeze Man Ray. That was probably the funniest one because of how hysterical it was. When I'm talking just purely Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, I'd say the first one was the funniest, but this episode that includes them for a lot of it is the best one.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I think this is the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode so far. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's the next one on my list of favourites. I didn't put that much about it, but yeah, I did really enjoy it. Yeah, I've just said it's of course, like you said, Barnacle Boy's had enough of Mermaid Man treating and talk to him like a kid, so he turns to the dark side and joins their villains. Mermaid Man assembles, I guess, Justice League or something. I don't know, with SpongeBob and friends. Yeah, I don't know. I've just put JL for some reason, but with SpongeBob and friends, and it all goes wrong. Barnacle Boy and co win without having to do anything, and Barnacle Boy makes Mermaid Man do 3 things as a result, like you said. He returns to being a hero, and that's that. Funnier episode, mainly because of Squidward, to be fair, and the Krakatoa thing, like you said. And perhaps one of my favourite episodes for humour and entertainment value.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, really enjoyed it.
I respect that. Now on to new student. This one was boring, man. It wasn't bad, but it was just like 24, 25. I guess SpongeBob getting obsessed over his stars from Mrs. Puff, like being the #1 pupil. I guess that was a bit funny. Pretty average, just painfully average. I didn't really enjoy that much. It's just a bit forgettable.
Yeah. This is actually one of the episodes where I've actually put in my review. Rubbish episode for me, really.
Really?
Rubbish.
I do get it, 'cause it feels like nothing really happens and it's just silly, immature crap. The reason why I'd say it's average is because I think SpongeBob being worried about his the stars on the wall, and Mrs. Puff, do I really look like this? And all that stuff, like all that. I just think it wasn't particularly. I didn't think it was bad or rubbish, but I thought it was painfully average. I don't really enjoy watching it, but I can't think of things that were particularly like crap about the episode. So I'm not. I guess personally, I find it quite boring, but objectively, I can't think of anything like rubbish about it. But yeah, sorry, go on. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most of the episodes in series 1 to 3 are bad, but I guess I thought this one was really. And then I just said Mrs. Puff Bouting School ones aren't usually great though, which we both agree on really. More annoying behaviour from SpongeBob having a meltdown over a star being removed. Also, another episode where SpongeBob ends up getting in trouble the whole time despite doing hardly anything wrong, and Mrs. Puff doesn't notice Patrick trying to get SpongeBob's attention in class, even though I understand that's part of the humour. Another unoriginal ending with Patrick assuming he was in Spanish class, not about in school. Yeah, that's all I said. So, one of the worst episodes, I think, to be honest, so far.
I mean, I do get it. I think episodes like I'm with Stupid and the one where Mrs. Puff is in prison are a bit worse. But yeah, I do get why you wouldn't enjoy this one. I completely understand that one. Now on to clams. The start was funny when Mr. Krabs is like flossing his bollocks and arse with the bloody dollar.
Yeah.
I think it was quite hilarious how he's so happy about his $1 million. And it reminds you of the working corporate world so much when it's when he's like, you just gave me $1 million. And he's like, great. What do I win? Nothing. Now get out. And he's like, there's a meme on it where he goes, get out, get the fuck out. And it's like, you're like, oh, well done. You're such a valued customer to us. And it's like, oh, great. Have you got anything for me then? No, fuck off. You know, it just feels like, oh, I'm a bit gutted that I swore. I try not to swear too much nowadays, but it just slipped out, man. But yeah, it's so funny. Honestly, just that intro is so good. I just find the intro just fire. It's just Mr. Krabs being such a money grubber. And then, but then the whole fishing trip stuff is like, I'd say it's above average because the intro was so strong and made me laugh. But then all the stuff on the boat I just find quite boring, and him being obsessed with getting the dollar out of some clam. Like the clam could be at the bottom of the ocean, inside the ocean. The clam could be out of their reach, is what I'm saying. So like, how do they know that some clam has his dollar? It could be any clam. So basically what Mr. Krabs is saying, you're going to be waiting out there forever. And he tips all the food away. It just seems a bit stupid. Like, doesn't he want to get out there and make more money instead of worrying about his $1 millionth dollar? I mean, what a bloody... I'd say it's above average, but mostly because of the intro. If it wasn't for the intro, I'd say it's not painfully average, but just an average episode. Because it's kind of enjoyable, but it just doesn't really make much sense. It seems a bit over the top. And like trying to sacrifice bloody Squidward and SpongeBob to get the clam to jump up, I thought, mate, that's like diabolical. Like, what, this seems like bloody season 7, Mr. Krabs. What the hell's going on? He's evil. But obviously, it was all just to jump in the clam's mouth and get the dollar. And then he gives his whole body away to the clam at the end. That was a bit weird, just for his $1 millionth dollar. Bloody strange. Above average episode because of the intro. Yeah, I find it kind of boring when I'm rewatching it, though. After watching it a few times, I find it kind of boring now, apart from the intro.
Well, I actually, well, at least, I mean, maybe I'd feel the same if I like rewatch the episode again. But yeah, I've actually, it's another one of my favorites. Yeah. I've said no particularly annoying humour apart from Mr. Krabs crying for too long over losing his millionth dollar. Mr. Krabs and Squidward were quite funny in the episode, such as Mr. Krabs appearing at the start and Squidward saying it was going to be something stupid, and then Mr. Krabs rubbing the dollar, like you said. And then Squidward says a very dirty dollar in response to Krabs asking him what the dollar is. And then I guess I don't know. I just haven't had much to put there. Very entertaining episode overall.
No.
So,
well, as I say,
I really like it. Yeah.
Apart from the intro, I disagree. I just thought it kind of was boring when they were fishing. But there was one funny bit where they're trying to prank him with the dollar. He's like, some blue coral smooch lipstick on this dollar. You think this is my $1 millionth dollar? You know, all that. That was quite funny. Yeah, I mean, I do get why. Well, I don't fully get it, but I understand why you might enjoy it. But maybe I need to rewatch it again and try and see the funny side of it. But I don't know. I just thought it was a bit too mad. Now on to BC before comedy. Average, man. Just an average episode. It's just the problem with it is, I know caveman are meant to be able to talk and stuff. But that doesn't really work well for a comedy show. I just didn't find it that funny, to be honest. I just found it a bit like I don't know. I like how they expand the prehistoric world, which came up in the SB 129 episode or whatever it was called in season 1. Apart from that, I just found it, I don't know, just a bit boring. Apart from the when worlds collide, that the rap at the end was epic, but the episode itself was just kind of like felt like nothing really happened, and it was a bunch of gibberish. I just because of the worlds collide, I'd say it's an average episode. But if it wasn't for that, I'd say a bit below average. Not as bad as the Mrs. Puff in jail episode, but yeah, not really the best. Especially for a special, it seemed a bit like it fell flat on its arse.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. The live action scenes were kind of average as usual, but not bad really. I thought the first half was more annoying than the second half, with some typical humour you come to expect. Certain parts were funny though, and it was funny to hear Squidward talking caveman speak at first. Also liked how Patrick squashed the first mini Mr. Krabs and ate him.
Yeah.
Second half with the three-way fight for the log fire was fun with some funny moments and was reminiscent of other episodes where things like this have happened, but in the present day. However, Squidward is made to look stupid and is treated more than SpongeBob and Patrick like in other episodes. You really liked the song. I thought it was okay. Might be the first episode so far that I don't remember watching on TV as a kid, but I'm not sure because maybe I remember the song, but I don't know.
I remember
maybe I
watching
just
the
don't remember it
episode.
as well. I don't know.
I remember watching the episode, but I forget about the song, which is pretty interesting.
I'll probably remember some of it, maybe, but not all of it. I don't know.
When worlds collide, but I like it now.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few, like iconic, memorable songs from those first 3 series, but I don't know. I thought that one was okay, really, compared in the grand scheme of things.
Well, now on to the Great Snail Race. Below average, blatantly below average. Maybe even bad, to be honest. It might be the first. I dislike it more than Pink Loser. I just get someone else. How horrible! Like, I find the episode quite boring. It's just horrible to Gary, and just over some repetitive gripe with Squidward's snail. It's like, what the hell? It's just boring, man. It's just like you really. I just don't enjoy him being mean to Gary. It's just crap. Just get someone else. Very below average, objectively and personally. I think it's shite. I do not enjoy watching this episode, man. Rubbish. Just get someone else. SpongeBob's way out of character over some shite snail race. It's like these idiots that take the dog show so serious and want to train their dogs to shake paw and all this crap when they should just be letting the dogs be dogs and treat them like a member of the family.
No, yeah, I completely agree. This one, I think, with the next episode, they're the 2 banned episodes, aren't they? I think.
Anti-raid.
Yeah, they're 2 of the episodes that were banned, weren't they? I do remember this one being on telly when I was a kid, but it's not on Paramount Plus. This one and the next one. Yeah, this is probably. Well, this might actually be my least favorite episode so far. I don't know, but yes, so I'll put an episode I remember well and one which has aged poorly. So not surprised it was removed from Paramount Plus with its sister episode. Oh, Midlife Crustacean.
No, it's still on there, but I saw the Great Snail Race on there, and I saw I saw it on there today. And the crustacean, Midlife Crustacean, that's on there, but they just got rid of the panty raid scene, so it just doesn't look right. So I think they got rid of the bit where Mr. Krabs is holding the panties.
Oh, because when I was watching them, those episodes weren't there, and so maybe they've been added back then.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's weird. Oh. Yeah, but really felt sorry for Gary in this one. He was put through the ringer, and the episode clearly focuses on animal cruelty for some of its humour. The episode had a happy ending there with Squidward's snail comforting Gary right before she's about to win the race. Some of the humour was decent, like Patrick making a mockery of Squidward and somehow winning the snail race with his pet rock. Sandy kicking SpongeBob at the end was random and not sure why, unless it was for comedic effect for no other reason.
She did something to him at the start, but I mean, he did something to her at the start, but I can't remember what it was. It wasn't really properly shown. It was just like he said something to her and fobbed her off in some way. It was really weird.
Oh, okay. Not surprised that the episode was banned eventually, though, and a bit surprised it wasn't banned from airing. don't know whether I can even say the episode was okay because of the fact that Gary was treated terribly. Difficult watch when Gary was being treated poorly, especially during the race, and definitely the most controversial and shocking episode so far.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Especially the stuff like during the race as well. And even though it's kind of, it shows you like exploding and all that, and but then he hasn't actually exploded, and of course he doesn't have like a machine inside him or whatever. But still, yeah, pretty. It's not a nice watch. Yeah,
quite uncomfortable watch.
really don't enjoy that episode. Yeah.
Now on to Midlife Crustacean. Pretty good. It kind of, I can relate to it a lot now. It kind of reminds me of a.
What are you getting at?
It kind of reminds me of George organising a session and saying, "Let's go here, go there, go here, wander aimlessly, go to this collectible shop, go here, go to 10 charity shops," which isn't too bad. Like when it's done for the third time, he's like, "Go here, go there, go here, go there, go here." I kind of feel like Mr. Krabs and feel like you and George, SpongeBob and Patrick, leading me just on a pretty boring journey. But I've still enjoyed the Beanos. Don't get me wrong. I just the third Beano in it's not Dockton. We don't live in the city of Worcester. So the third Beano there, where George was just wandering aimlessly around shops, and because he had the train tickets on his phone. So I remember saying to him, "How about we visit a pub?" And he was just like, "No." I'm like, and he's got the train tickets ever since then. I thought, I'm booking my own train tickets from here on out. But to be fair, ever since that session, he was more up for pubs. I won't say the one place he went to because it's a bit too. I don't want to say but the one Beano we went on the one day out. We went to one pub, so that was pretty cool. It was a solid pub. And the other one I did with GC, Malvern, which again isn't really that close to home, quite far away. Went in one pub. Didn't really stop that long, to be honest. Stopped about 2 because GC had to get back for some. But yeah, I think with that third Worcester one, I was just annoyed because I tried to organise a sesh, and I think I've talked to you a bit about it, Liam. I tried to get so many people to go, and like basically everyone just pulled out one by one. It just ended up being me, you, and George again, which I was fine with. But I specifically went on a Saturday to get like everyone else to come because it would be convenient for them. But basically everyone just pulled out. I think I asked like bloody 10 people, and they'll bloody let me down. Most of them just said no straight away, but there was some letting me down at the last second. And I'm like, I was just really pissed off at the end of that session, to be honest. I was just really fed up. A part of me didn't even really have any motivation for any more Beanos after that. I thought, like, I just can't be bothered. I'll try hard. And then a lot of people let me down. But then GC talked to him about it, and he said, well, at the end of the day, you got to remember that, you know, me and Liam still showed up. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, it's just normal when you try and organise stuff and it goes tits up over and over again. But that's how life is. Can't get too bogged down. I was the Panty Raid episode. That's it. Yeah, that's why. That's where it started from. So Mr. Krabs is like, yeah, take me out on a night on the town, and then it ends up just being like, bloody going to some weird arcade and going on some pony ride and all this crap. It was quite funny. And then Mr. Krabs says, "Oh, you're just boring." And then Patrick says, "Well, how about you're not cool enough for this, the Panty Raid?" And then they're raiding Mr. Krabs' mum's house. Bro, how did he not know it was How did he not know it was his mum's house? Is he bloody? It was ridiculous. I guess it was quite a dark night, but bloody hell, it didn't make sense. And then I don't get why the episode was banned though. Like all he said was Panty Raid twice, and then that he gets his mum's bloomers like that. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's a bit immature for. It's a bit inappropriate for a kid show, but it's not like that bad. There's been worse stuff aired. Like if you look at some of the stuff on Rocko's Modern Life or Ren and Stimpy, that's pretty far worse than anything SpongeBob's done. What early SpongeBob's done. And later SpongeBob have been very bloody ridiculous. The things that they've done are like bloody. We're not even going to get to the later. I think after season 6 we'll be like, no more SpongeBob reviews because it just gets so bad. But there's some bloody strange episodes. Maybe we could look through a bunch of strange episodes and react to them. But like, there's some weird crap. I saw a recent one where SpongeBob like steps in gum and it's plankton, and then he eats plankton, and plankton's like bum gets attached to his tongue, and plankton's like SpongeBob's tongue, and he's talking and eating stuff, and it's really weird, man.
Oh, yeah.
I love your face.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. You're like, what?
I know, yeah, because I'm thinking, wow, that is strange even for SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one episode where Plankton wants to kill himself as well, where he's lying in the road and he wants a bus to run him over, and Mr. Krabs is laughing at him. That was like, what on earth? Like, Mr. Krabs is
Oh,
basically the villain by that point of the
wow.
show. There's one where Squidward is basically looking like he's about to kill himself as well. That was weird. I'll stop watching the show by then, but I'm just saying, like, they get very strange in later SpongeBob. Like, the writers must just be, I don't know, doing acid while they're writing, or just really fed up or want to just make stupid things just to annoy people. But yeah, Life Crustacean's pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's quite funny, somewhat relatable. Yeah, decent.
Well, I thought it was just okay. I did say you could argue it was somewhat controversial because of the panty before the panty raid at the end, which got it banned because of how Mr. Krabs. Well, I don't know if this would have been it would have been banned for this, but Mr. Krabs was mocked throughout most of the episode for being old and uncool. Then he loses it at the Bunny Buns kids play area because he's angry with everything SpongeBob and Patrick have done on their night out. Shakes the hat off his head, sends the kids flying, and knocks the head off the rabbit. Then he insults SpongeBob and Patrick and leaves them just before Patrick mentions that he'll miss the panty raid. I put here, of all the things the showrunners could have chosen to end the episode, they made a strange choice. And I was put stealing women's underwear is something SpongeBob and Patrick apparently do all the time, and is part of a cool night out for them. Despite attempting to commit this strange act, it's discovered they've broken into Mr. Krabs' mom's house, and she grounds Krabs to his childhood bedroom for the rest of the night. So the episode at least ends on a lighter note. But overall, I wouldn't rewatch the episode. So I thought it was another okay one, really, I guess.
That's fair. Where are we now? Born Again Crabs and I Had an Accident. Born Again Crabs, it's just a bit strange, really. It just shows his tightness and bloody miserness, and he just bloody eats a burger, then he ends up in hospital, and the Flying Dutchman's like, you need to be more generous. Then he's like, oh, this is just a dream, when he's being more generous and giving everything away, and then he ends up being cheap again and bloody somehow sucking TV out of people's brains and getting people to spit all their food and drink out, which is really bloody mad. And then he sells SpongeBob's soul for like 75p. Like, what bloody wanker. I understand he's a cheapskate, but bloody hell. And then, but it's satisfying when Squidward comes and says, he stuck up for you and you sold him out. And then Mr. Krabs realizes the error of his ways. But it's like, seems a bit too much. It just seems a bit dumb. I used to like watching it when I was a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, Mr. Krabs is just a complete arse in this. Average.
I said it's somewhat decent with bits of funny humor, like Squidward sleeping in Krabs' office. I can't really remember what happened, but yeah, sort of I put. The scenes with the Flying Dutchman were kind of interesting. SpongeBob was stupidly gullible as usual, thinking that Krabs was a good person when he pretty much always cares about money more than anything, even SpongeBob. The episode was nothing special overall.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now on to I Had an Accident. The start's kind of interesting, and Patrick goes, oh, and crashing into the mountain. That was kind of funny. Then SpongeBob breaking his arse into a million pieces. That was a bit cringy, I guess. It must have hurt a lot. And I don't know, I just found it pretty average. I just thought it was all right. Like the antics and the gorilla suit thing at the end was kind of okay. The very ending was weird when SpongeBob was ripped in half, and then the gorilla rides off on a donkey, and then it's some family turn telly off. I thought they were just really trying to be very random XD type humor. Another average episode.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but one of the weaker ones. A few parts I did find funny were Patrick laughing hysterically and the gorilla continually beating up Patrick and Sandy in the sack he put them in. Otherwise, not a great episode. That's all I've put. Not much to say there, I guess.
Now on to
Yeah.
Krabby Land. pretty poor, man. Like I'd say a bit below average. It was just Mr. Krabs is too much of a money grubber in it. When I was a kid, I found it funny, but as an adult, I just think he's so nasty in it, bro. Yeah, he's just quite mean, to be honest. He's just quite an arse. Just such a tight arse. And they're all like, "We want Krabby the Clown," and then he just comes out for 1 second and goes, "Hello, kids, I'm Krabby. Do you remember? You Krabby buddies?" Ah! He just walks off. Well, I'm Krabby the Clown. Goodbye, And it's like, well, that was a bit pointless. There you go. And SpongeBob's basically getting seriously tortured and hurting himself just to make all the kids laugh. That was strange. And then Mr. Krabs gets his comeuppance at the end. Below average episode. Quite enough.
Yeah, I've actually put that. I said one of the worst episodes for me personally. So this is down there, down at the bottom. More of Mr. Krabs being an arse and only caring about money. I've actually put here, didn't find a single thing funny in the episode. Usually, even in some of like the weaker episodes, I find maybe something funny or a little bit funny. You could say the kids were sadistic as they laughed at and enjoyed seeing SpongeBob torture himself. There was actually, I don't know if you remember, the main kid as well had an evil grin at one point, which was a bit disturbing.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he did. It was weird. I don't know. Mr. Krabs basically just scammed the kids out of their money by giving them a terrible playground compared to the one they were playing on, and made them wait ages only to dress himself up as Krabby for a few seconds and then leave. Once again, Krabs gets his comeuppance in the end, though, as the kids are angry and put him through some of the torture SpongeBob put himself through while taking Krabs' money. Yet another episode where Mr. Krabs does the same stupid things, shows no character progression, and karma comes around to bite him. This is a problem the show keeps suffering from, and so we see a lot of rehashing. And if the episode doesn't come together in a satisfying way, it gets boring and is more of the same.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can you send me the evil grin, because I can't find it? I'm looking at some mad smiling faces.
I don't know. It depends on if I can find it.
Anyway, I'll just move on to talk about the next episode, the camping episode. Yeah, this one's hilarious. How Scrooge was like, "You aren't camping. What the hell? You're not really camping. You're right outside your house. This is ridiculous." Then SpongeBob just says, "All right, then. Well, you enjoy yourself inside. Have fun inside." And he's like, "What do you mean have fun inside? What are you trying to say? That I can't camp?" And then he comes out and just fails all the time. And SpongeBob and Patrick are just having fun, but then he just keeps botching at camping. He can't bloody make a tent. He can't pitch a tent. He can't fight the bloody sea bear. He struggles to eat marshmallows. And it's funny when he's playing the clarinet and then they shoot a marshmallow into his mouth to try and keep him safe. But then he starts doing everything that a sea bear who he doesn't think exists. He just starts doing everything that will attract the sea bear. And he just keeps getting his ass kicked by the sea bear. Amazing episode. Really enjoyed it quite a lot. A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Camping. This is the camping episode, yeah.
Yeah, CAMPFIRE.
Oh yeah, the infamous camping song, yeah. So I thought that it was better than the previous episode. Actually found some of the humour funny and helped that Squidward and Patrick were in it, rather than mainly SpongeBob and Krabs and a little bit of Squidward. Patrick was acting bonkers once again, but mad elements like this can be funny, such as how he was acting when SpongeBob was singing. Seeing Squidward being incapable of setting up a tent was somewhat funny. However, it was a shame that it was yet another episode where SpongeBob and Patrick think something is real, which seems ridiculous, while Squidward is convinced it isn't. But in the end, SpongeBob and Patrick are proved right, and Squidward is as stubborn as ever and suffers the consequences more than he should. I think the sea bear attacking Squidward went on a bit too long, and I can understand Squidward being wrong about something absurd being real, while suffering the consequences can be funny. But this type of thing has happened so many times in the show, and you just wish Squidward could be right for once, because I do feel like he, I don't know, he gets through a lot in a lot of the episodes, and he just, I think he unfairly suffers for it. A somewhat entertaining episode, although I would have preferred a different outcome at the end. So yeah, I'd rather
Rhinoceros comes and then he says, "Thank goodness we're wearing our sea rhinoceros undergarments, aren't we?" And Squidward was like, "Oh no." So I guess it's I find it quite funny, but I get why. I do think he does go for a bit too much just for saying something's not true, but I guess it's just a bit of funny comedy.
Yeah,
Missing I
decent.
yeah. Now on to Missing Identity. Just really average, man. I used to enjoy it a bit when I was a kid, but like now it's just really SpongeBob arsing around doing the same thing, retracing his steps, trying to find something for his inspection, and then it's quite funny how he ends up stinking of shit because he tries to search through the garbage to find his name tag, and yeah, it ends up being his clothes are on backwards, so the name tag is at the back of him. It's all right. It's decent fun, I suppose. Patrick's silliness in it, like where he forgets his line, that's quite funny. SpongeBob, SpongeBob. Stuff. Yeah, it's all right. It's decent fun. Average.
I think initially I didn't know whether to put it in my favourites list, and I have actually put it in my favourites.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
Yes,
think
I thought it was refreshingly different, and as it was parodying, as it was like a parodying, an old detective police drama TV show with the intro and the jazz music. SpongeBob is trying to repeat what he did before he's lost his name badge. I thought the constant repeating of events was entertaining with some funny moments, like Patrick saying the wrong thing and not simply "Hello, SpongeBob" like he originally said. He was typical Patrick. He said "Hello, SpongeBob" and "Hello, Patrick."
Word I'm
What makes yeah, just I don't know. Yeah, what makes those two moments funnier is his reaction to accidentally saying those things. SpongeBob displayed some typically annoying over-the-top behaviour at times. And I thought another funny moment was when SpongeBob tasted Gary's food and went bleh, and he
Yeah, that's
sent that like shockwave,
yeah.
which made its way to that company that makes Gary's food. At the start, SpongeBob is glad he won't have to taste Gary's food again, which means he will have to taste it again, which is typical of the show. And of course, he has to taste it again many times. So I thought it was a good episode overall, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. Now, where are we? Oh yeah, Plankton's army. Yeah, it's kind of entertaining. He gets a bunch of plankton together to take the Krusty Krab, and it's kind of funny the back and forth with Mr. Krabs. SpongeBob isn't in the episode much. I guess the start's kind of funny with the Plankton smuggling himself in $1 with that robot coming in. Again, it's a bit of a tired trope, him trying to get the Krabby Patty formula, but if this was going to be the last season of SpongeBob, which it originally was meant to be, I feel like this is well, obviously the movie is the end of Plankton's arc of evil, but from the show aspect, this was probably a good way to end it. Like he thinks the formula, he's going to find the formula, and it ends up being a load of plankton, and he runs off, and the one's like, I can't read, and he goes yo when he runs off. And it's kind of funny, I guess, how all of his cousins are just like rednecks who aren't that smart, and Plankton's an utter genius. And I guess the Sheldon scene was quite funny when Karen kept making screens that were pointing at him saying Sheldon. That was a bit funny. Above average, I enjoy it, yeah.
I thought it was kind of like okay, really. I said that it was interesting to focus on Plankton again, and he thinks he's finally got the Krabby Patty secret formula until it mentions that 4 planktons are needed. I said that Plankton's computer wife finds it really funny that his real name is Sheldon and keeps mocking him about it behind his back. I guess maybe some people might find that funny, but I don't know. I didn't find it funny personally. I just don't find that sort of humor funny. Perhaps on the first watch, it's intriguing to find out how the episode unfolds and what the end result is, but otherwise, I don't think it has much else to offer, so I don't think it's as rewatchable. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Now on to where are we? SpongeBob. Oh wait, no, the Sponge You Could Fly.
I think
Below
it's
average. I found this one really annoying, to be honest with you. All the specials in this season kind of. I don't want to say they suck because BC and the house party, I wouldn't say well, I said House Party is below average and BC is like average. I can't remember what exactly I said about House Party, but I do find it kind of boring and annoying. But the Sponge Who Could Fly and all the hype about the SpongeBob Lost episode, I just sort of found it a bit boring. And then Patchy says, "Here's the lost episode, laddies," and then it's just crap. It's just rubbish. It's just SpongeBob going woo 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 woo, walking around, and you're like, "Well, what was all the hype about?" And then he's this SpongeBob Sponge Can Fly. Is this meant to be the lost episode? Then I guess it's not meant to be, but I don't know, him trying to fly with his pants, and then the town having a go at him, and then him learning how to fly, and then they all just want him to do chores for them. I found it kind of annoying, to be honest with you. And then when his pants explode, they're all just fobbing him off and saying, "We don't want anything to do with you." Then I just found it kind of piss take, really. I'd say painfully average. Just average.
Yeah, I think
not particularly that good.
I think a lot of the I do like you. I think a lot of the specials in this series are disappointing, really, considering they're meant to be specials. Yeah, I thought it was mostly average, but I found it. I guess it was one of those again that I remember watching. I suppose I remember watching a lot of them on TV as a kid, but I found it a bit like nostalgic. I said that I remember it quite well, and several memorable songs in it. Wasn't there that one about him flying? They were going like, "He's flying, he's flying, he's really,
He's
really
really
flying,
flying." Yeah.
yeah, high in the sky." And I just said the live action segments were okay as usual, maybe a bit better than in other episodes. Little bits of funny humor here and there. And honestly, I know you didn't like that little bit where it's the fake lost episode with SpongeBob like
Yeah.
walking and dancing, but that was I don't know, it was one of my favorite parts personally.
Really? I didn't think that'd be up your street at all. I thought you'd just be like, "Well, what the?" Well, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell is this? You know, I thought you'd just be like, "Well, this is a load of rubbish." You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, that's what they think in the episode, but no, I don't know. I just think it's
I guess his meltdown was kind of funny, but I just thought like all this hype and it's just a crock of shit. I get the joke, but like I just don't really. I don't know.
I don't know. I just kind of liked that bit, even though it's it's meant to be like, what's this and whatever. It's meant to be disappointing, but I don't know. I guess it was one of my favorite parts with him walking and dancing and doing those funny moves to the music. Kind of like a bit of a music video, I suppose. But yeah, but overall, yeah, mostly average. I thought so.
Yeah. Now on to SpongeBob Meets a Strangler. From what I remember, pretty good. All the antics of him avoiding the stranglers, strangling hands, and then the strangler just goes mad in the end and chucks himself in prison. He does get hurt quite a bit. I mean, the scene where SpongeBob's spiky cleats go into his eye in the strangler's eyes, I thought, that's a bit violent for a kid's show. But I guess he's an evil bloke who strangles fish to death, so I suppose that's what he gets, I guess, for being a strangler. And him just wearing a mustache and SpongeBob falling through it is kind of funny, I guess. A pretty good episode, yeah. I don't really remember a lot about it. Pretty good.
Yeah, actually, I've barely put anything on it, but I did actually put it in my favourites. So I said it was a good episode. I like how the Strangler is never able to get his revenge on SpongeBob with different humorous factors coming into play. Entertaining episode with some good humour, despite mainly focusing on SpongeBob and the Strangler. That's all I've put.
Fair enough. Now on to the final episode of season 3. Pranks a lot. Yeah, it's another good episode. Like I enjoy SpongeBob and Patrick's antics, pranking everyone. It's a good, suitable ending to the show when it comes to episodes. Obviously, it doesn't end here, but at the time, I think Steven Hillenburg made an all right decision by making the pranks a lot the final episode, because you get snippets of every single character with the pranks that SpongeBob and Patrick are pulling. You get a bit of banter with Mr. Krabs, and all the characters at the end laughing at SpongeBob and Patrick being naked. So yeah, I think that's a good ending before the film came out. So yeah, I thought it was good. What's your thoughts?
I've actually put this in my favourites too. I thought it was good. I said, nice to see that after all the pranking SpongeBob and Patrick did, they were literally exposed at the end, which they were, which makes a change, as I'd argue that in many other episodes, SpongeBob and Patrick get off lightly compared to other characters. and or while the other characters are treated unfairly. A lot of the pranking SpongeBob and Patrick did as ghosts was funny too, so I thought it was another good one.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll quickly give my review of season 3. It's probably on the same level as season 1 in some aspects, really. I mean, you've got amazing bangers like The Algae's Always Greener, Just One Bite, Nasty Patty, Idiot Box, Man and Barnacle Boy 5, One Crab's Trash, Can You Spare a Dime, Krusty Krab Training Video, Wet Painters, Chocolate with Nuts. What else was? Then after that, it's a bit. Oh, White Camping episode, that was amazing. So you have got some goated episodes, but then a lot of the other episodes are just a bit average and hit and miss, or a bit below average. And obviously, Liam, your rating will probably be a bit lower than mine because you think that a fair few of these episodes are just naff or just quite average. But overall, I'd say it's around the same level as season 1. Although I gave season 2 a 10, I'd say this is probably great. I'd say it's an 8 out of 10. I enjoy it quite a bit. I enjoy rewatching the best episodes of the season, definitely quite a bit. The more naff or average episodes, I'm not really that bothered about. But yeah, I'd say it's great.
I can't remember whether I gave series 1 and 2 an 8 or an 8.5. I honestly thought you were going to give it higher than an 8, than an 8, to be fair. But I was thinking 8.5, but I don't know to give it an 8 as well. Yeah, I think if I'm thinking of it as a series, if I'm thinking of the series as a whole, especially as it has like a few, I'd actually say bad episodes too.
Yeah,
and I'd probably give it an 8 as well.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, obviously, I've got a lot of go-to episodes on. Well, a few go-to episodes and amazing episodes that I really enjoy. But then again, the average episodes. I mean, what really average? Squilliam Returns, Bye Bye Valve, House Party, New Starfish Student, Clams, Before Comedy, Great Snail Race, Below Average, Midlife Crustacean, Good, Ball Again Crabs, Average, I Had an Accident, Average. There's just a lot of average. Krabby Land, below average, and really gets on my nerves. Missing Identity, average. Plankton's Army, good, I guess. Sponge You Can Fly, average. There's just a lot of. There is still some good and great and amazing episodes and go-to episodes, but there's a lot of naff stuff in here as well. Like just stuff I wouldn't want to go back and rewatch loads. So I get why you might think I'd give it a higher rating, but there was fair few episodes that I said were average. I can't really give it like an 8.5 or a 9 when there's just so many like bog standard average episodes in there.
Yeah,
episodes that I found bog standard and average at least, but still worth rewatching. And the goated episodes really do slap quite hard. They are quite a lot of fun to watch. Now, do you have anything else you want to say before moving on?
I suppose the only thing really was because I think I said a bit earlier on that I didn't realise that I had actually made some review notes on where is it? On a few of the episodes. I think I started reviewing episodes earlier than I thought because I started doing it from Mermaid Man 4. But yeah, I suppose I suppose I just said that Mermaid Man 4, funny concept, but otherwise not the most entertaining. It was kind of funny at times. Yeah, did you say you didn't like the Doing Time episode?
Yeah, I found it quite naff. Like it was average, but I didn't really personally enjoy it. I thought they just wound up Mrs. Puff a bit too much.
Yeah, I said it as a weird ending. Annoying how big focus is on SpongeBob and Patrick trying to free Mrs. Puff constantly. But I did say it was somewhat decent. Even though it's annoying that it starts with SpongeBob being hopeless at driving again. Hopeless at driving with Mrs. Puff. Yeah. And then the snowball effect one, yeah, so that was enjoyable. Like the Christmassy, wintry theme with a short soundtrack in the intro. What else? What have I said here that I haven't mentioned? Oh yeah, I thought it was funny in that episode as well, where he goes a bit crazy with the throwing the snowballs and whatnot. He goes a bit, sort of goes a bit unhinged. There's a funny recurring gag with Squidward's warm fire being put out when snowballs are being thrown. And I said there was a nice happy ending to it too. Yes, that's that. I guess, yeah, that's just stuff that I didn't realise I'd episodes I didn't realise I'd reviewed. But yeah, that was just the notes I made for those. I didn't say before, didn't mention before.
Well, Pod's been going over 2 hours, so we'll do generally knowledgeable and then wrap this up. All right, first question. I'm not going to put any options in because you should know this one. Who plays Patchy the Pirate?
Oh, it's what's his who voices SpongeBob? What's his name again? Tom Kenny.
Yeah, fair play. Because the thing is, I thought if I put the options in there, if I put all the other voice actors, everyone would just guess Tom Kenny anyway. So start off with an easy one. How many episodes did Merman Man and Barnacle Boy appear in on screen? Oh, this is a bit of an easy one as well. Should have done some harder.
Is it 5? Oh no! Wait. You on about the whole show?
Oh, sorry. In season 1 to 3, I should have said sorry. Season 1 to 3.
I'm gonna say yeah, because I'm thinking there's 1 to 4, and then there's Super Friends.
Yeah.
So 5. Final answer.
Yeah, that's correct. Fair play. Because I thought they appeared in other episodes, or some of the episodes weren't called Merman Man and Barnacle Boy because they weren't in them that much, but they were called that. So, yeah. All right. Final question. Lowest rated IMDb SpongeBob episodes from season 1 to 3. I've put options in for this. Is it A, The Sponge Who Could Fly? B, SpongeBob BC Before Comedy? C, Sandy's Rocket / Squeaky Boots? Or D, SpongeBob's House Party in brackets Party Pooper Pants?
Oh, so one of those is the lowest rated.
Yeah, from season 1 to 3, which I was surprised.
Yeah. So we got. Is it the Sponge Who Could Fly? Final answer.
Yeah. Well done. Bloody hell.
Oh well.
Right.
Okay. Nice.
Fair play.
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Then I thought, I don't know. Kind of almost feel like with that episode and the fact that it was like a special, but then a lot. I don't know. A bit of it is a disappointing special. Was that the lost episode?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I could kind of see it. I guess having maybe like a low rating.
I do love generally knowledgeable me. I'm surprised GC's become a fan of the segment as well, because you think he'd get annoyed at answering questions and would prefer just to do like Spot the James or put horrendous people out of history. They put their cars on screen and say, "Would you drive it?" I don't know. Or the car belonged to Hitler. Oh, well, I wouldn't drive it then. Would you drive it? I don't know. Who did it belong to? The car belonged to Jimmy Savile. Well, no, I'm not driving it then. Oh. George, remember when for the Mr. H one, George said that he would drive it, which was really concerning. Like, I've archived that podcast, so when that gets re-uploaded, but that looks really bad. Like, I know he's only joking. Like, imagine like someone wants to like ruin your life, and you've just got someone saying, "George, would you drive Mr. H's car?" Of course I would. What? But again, he can get away with it, can't he? He's got the taxpayers' dime from so he can basically just do what he wants to a degree. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap up nicely there. Any final? Oh yeah, I was going to say, Mr. Liam, your Republic video, Republic, sorry, your is Republic is the Republic Commando game worth playing? Has done quite well. I think it's got like 77 views now. Might have more.
Now I think it's into the hundreds now. So it's finally. It's took a bit longer. I feel like a few more days than a few of the other videos, but it's finally getting views now
Yeah,
and likes.
150. Congrats, bro. It's got
Nice. Oh, that's gone up a
12
bit since I
likes.
last looked. Yeah.
150.
12. Well,
Let's quickly get it. It's a bit late, but we might as well quickly get it up and show it a bit of respect. Here we go.
20 years on from its initial release, is it worth playing in 2025? That's a question I will answer in this video based off when I played through the game recently. If you like this type of content, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to see more. Now, let's begin. Star Wars Republic Commando was initially released on the 1st of March 2005 for the original Xbox and Windows. It was one of several Star Wars games that came out in 2005 in the months leading up to the release.
Well, there we go. Go and watch it for yourselves if you want to watch it. It'd be cool to do a podcast reacting to. And I wanted to do one reacting to my big Lego Star Wars video, but I don't really feel like it at the moment. So it'd be cool to react to some of your videos again, like we did ages ago. That'd be quite a decent podcast.
Yeah, it could make for some funny moments, yeah, I suppose.
There's some solid videos on there, but we might as well end that one there then. Any final messages or thoughts? Or
I suppose, yeah, it's been an enjoyable podcast again, yeah. Enjoyed talking about SpongeBob again in the episodes, and I guess, yeah, just having different opinions. And of course, you know, when you were so shocked that we had such a different opinion of what was it? What was the episode again?
because I honestly thought, I was confident, you know what, Liam will just think this is average, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But then when you're saying it's like bad and one of your least favourites, I was like, the system broke. It was like Mr. Krabs when they destroyed the Krusty Krab and his body kept falling apart. And he just went, Squidward, SpongeBob. That bit was pretty good.
Yeah. I don't think I put in my notes that the episode was bad. I just put that it was one of my least favourites. But I guess, I don't know. I guess it's still like down there though for me personally.
Oh, good.
So,
well, that's what makes these SpongeBob reviews very interesting. Well, that's all we've got to say for today. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Have a good one. See you later.